how'd you get your online name? And do you ever give out your real name?
Yes, my name is Ian. It's well known enough that it's not really considered a secret. But pretty much everyone calls me Vaush. In terms of how I got my start here, I was a prominent chatter in another online edgy debate lords community, a guy called Destiny. And after gaining some notoriety in his community by arguing aggressively for left-leaning political positions, I made my own Twitch channel. And after that, things just kind of blew up and never really stopped blowing up, I guess. So that's nice. As for the name itself, you asked how I got my name, and I choose to interpret that answer in both ways. It is the name of an OC that I made when I was quite a bit younger and drew more often. And I just decided arbitrarily to choose that for my channel name.
OC, is that, what's that?
Original character. You know, like, you know, when you go on Tumblr and all of the 14-year-old artists are, like, drawing the if Sephiroth and Cloud had a kid, you know, and they give it a name, like, that's an OC.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, I have a gamer channel and I'm named Kranos, and that is from a D&D campaign from one of my first D&D campaigns when I was 13.
There you go. That's an OC right there. That's an D&D characters are absolutely OCs, original characters.
That's hilarious.
I have no OCs, so I'm very like far into the whole gaming, universe and all that. So you started with gaming and everything. So did you set out to talk about politics? Was that part of it, or did that just organically happen?
The politics was always the thrust of my online engagement. I would argue politics. I mean, I've always been into games, of course. You know, back in those days, Twitch.tv was exclusively a gaming space. Sometimes, like way back when, like in 2015, when I would try to stream, sometimes I would get distracted. I would stop playing whatever game I was playing at the time, like FTL or Binding of Isaac. And I would talk politics for a bit. And like a Twitch, the site was small enough back then, a Twitch admin would actually show up in my chat with a stream with like 8 people in it and say like, hey, you have to be playing a game. And I'd go like, oh, okay. And I'd have to keep going with it. Yeah, no, it was way smaller back then.
Oh my god, you have to be playing a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did not allow, you had to be. It was gaming only. And now, of course, you can do whatever on Twitch, so, you know.
Yeah, except say Cracker.
Except say Cracker.
I'm actually curious about... when you used to be in Destiny's, are we not supposed to say his name? I can't remember.
You could say his name, and yes, okay. I was.
You're in Destiny's community. How did you become known in the community enough to start streaming and people knew to go to watch you? Like, how does that work? Just in Discord, or were you at comments, or?
I would try to argue with him on his stream, successfully sometimes. As in successfully as in I was able to get on his stream. Whether or not the debates themselves went in my favor is, of course, a matter of opinion. But I was mostly arguing pro-feminist positions. He was more right-leaning at the time.
Okay, and have you ever actually debated or talked to Hasan?
I've talked to him, yeah. I mean, I've talked to him, like, off-stream a decent number of times since we're adjacent in the industry. But in terms of, like, doing stuff on stream, I think we talked briefly along with H Bomber Guy back in, I want to say, late 2018, and that conversation was actually what inspired me to get serious about making a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't talked to you on screen yet, but
I was watching, so in preparation for our conversation, I've been watching a good amount of your stuff, Vaush, and I was watching the current I guess falling out, or I don't know what you want to refer between whatever's going on with Hasan, and so it seems like there's not a lot of friendliness, I guess, going on at the moment.
Well, I definitely think he's died on a couple of really stupid hills in the recent past. Unfortunately, it just seems like in some issues he defers to a very aesthetic understanding of socialism, and he gets very angry when he's called out for it. So, God willing, we'll get him over one day, but you know, can't hold my breath.
Who do you think is your nemesis online? Because you have to have a nemesis.
I don't really think so. I know there are people who want to think they're my nemesis, but I don't really think anyone has, like, given me enough trouble to warrant my recognition to that sort, you know? There are people who are more annoying or more aggressively pursuant of my interest than others, but there are probably like a dozen people who think of themselves that way. Just, I don't want to, you know what I mean? I feel like I feel like that means a lot to them and very little to me. So
you probably have a thick skin, so you can't really have a nemesis. and I guess.
Listen, I'm my own nemesis, okay? That's the closest we're getting. I am consistently my own worst enemy.
Of course, aren't we all really?
Oh, yeah.
So who then, if you don't have a nemesis, who do you really like watching? Like, do you have anybody that you admire in this streaming space?
There are many people I respect, that's for sure. In terms of admiration, well, personal disagreements aside, I think ContraPoints has a remarkable script writing ability. I think that there's an aesthetic and a rhetorical conciseness that's really worthwhile and valuable there. In terms of formidability, I think Keffels on Twitter has been dealing with an ungodly amount of harassment and has been weathering it with admirable tenacity. In terms of researchability, there's a content creator called Soaked on Left and another called Rose Wrist as well. They're both quite good at this, though Soaked on Left interacts with me publicly more often. They're both very, let's say, fastidious nerds. They're very big into research. They love it. And that's pretty admirable, I think. There are a lot of people that I respect in this space. I'm not sure about admiration necessarily, but I think you can learn from all of them.
I was looking up your channel on Social Blade. And I noticed in June and July of 2020, you gained 100,000 subs. What on earth happened?
Oh, that would have been because of the primaries for sure. Yeah, back during the the big beefs with Buttigieg, Biden, Bernie. Like, I nearly said Warren Ellis. Oh God, what? Wait, I'm having a brain fart right now.
You just made something Warren. She knows. She is
Elizabeth Warren. Thank
Elizabeth.
God. Oh, okay. It's okay. Yeah. Warren Ellis. So it's like E is the other name. It begins with E. Yeah, okay. That and BLM. I think my channel did a particularly good job handling those issues in particular. So I'm pretty proud of that in retrospect. I think those were definitely well-earned subs. So I'm happy looking back on that.
Nice. How do you prepare to? I mean, you always say you don't have a good memory. I do not agree with you at all. Or maybe I'm just comparing you to me, because mine's horrifying. But how do you prepare for that stuff? Is it just in your brain, and because you read a lot, or do you do any preparation? Like, where do you go to get your information that you feel comfortable sharing with your audience?
No, I never do any preparation beforehand. I mean, I read studies, of course. I watch videos when I'm off stream, but I don't ever prepare for a stream. One of the reasons being that I've always held the position that I think it should be evident that most of the arguments we deal with are so bad that you don't really need to prepare to defeat them. You can usually just, like, a Wikipedia level knowledge of any subject along with basic rhetorical skills is usually enough to handle, like, almost any confrontation you're going to have with people who disagree with you. Obviously, it helps to go further than that, of course, and if I was debating like a professor who I really disagreed with, I'd try to learn more. But for the most part, I think it's important to reinforce the idea that it's very accessible, the ability to, disagree with people and come out on top.
That is the lack of preparation and just diving in. Jason and I were talking about that before, is like sort of nerve-wracking. Like, I had to I'm like, we have to have a list of questions going in.
I know.
So yeah.
Oh no, it's way better to not prepare for anything at all.
Yeah,
no expectations.
You grew up in SoCal, so what was that like?
In LA. I grew up in Beverly Hills, actually. And that was nice.
So what was that like?
Well, I wasn't in the obscenely rich portion. I was just in the portion where you didn't have to worry about crime, which is still really, really nice. I definitely enjoyed that. No, I enjoyed my time there, at least in the sense that it afforded me a very high-quality education. I'm not going to complain about that at all. I will say that it is an area completely devoid of culture, and that Los Angeles is a uniquely ugly city. I truly despise driving around Los Angeles, not just because of the traffic. The traffic to me is secondary. It's just that the city is incomprehensibly hideous. For the amount of money that's there, and LA has so much money that runs through it, there really are no excuses. They could have built a much prettier city.
And funny enough, that's where I am located now in LA, actually.
In Beverly Hills?
No, not in Beverly Hills, in West Hollywood.
Oh,
actually.
Based. You're next to Hasan. Yeah, I know. I was pretty near West Hollywood. I would go there every Halloween for the big parade that they do with all the gays. They roll out in their outfits. which was nice. West Hollywood is nice. It's just that it's very expensive. You know, I didn't have much disposable income back then. You know, the nightclubs are great and all, but if you can't afford to spend any time there, you know, it's kind of wasted.